I wanted to just welcome all of you to our 2009 Client Conference. And one of the questions I've had a lot of clients ask, are we all just your clients? I'm like, you are all clients. There are no outsiders invited today. I know that it's time to go ahead and give you some of the critical updates in the law, as well as some of the updates in how to plan your trust better. We value our clients very much, as I think most of you know, and this is one of the ways that we have to say thank you. And hopefully you've seen on some of the slides the different areas of law that we have since you first met me. But most of you are really all trust and estate clients that are here today. We also have a corporate and a business division. And of course, the litigation division covers all three areas: business, real estate, and our trust and estates area. And I think this kind of goes without saying, but I'm proud to be able to say that each and every one of the members of our legal team really focus on providing the kind of excellence or quality that they would want if they were hiring a law firm. That the latest law change that President Obama has recommended doesn't matter about your political party. He's getting a raw deal on this estate tax. They're saying he's blocking the repeal. Well, it's true, but most of us haven't been talking about the repeal for 3, 4, or 5 years. We've been talking about it's going to go back to $1 million. So what's on the slate? What's going to happen? Well, we know the repeal is off the table. So here's the way the current budget, now it's kind of interesting depending on who you talk to. There's an HR 436 that's going on. Senate has tried to also get involved because just this week with the budget, I don't know, how many of you heard the news that the budget got passed while President Obama was in London? Okay, which was fine, it's getting passed. And here, as an estate planning attorney, it finally made it on the news. And as a footnote to the budget, here's what they're going to do with the estate tax. That was it. It was one little footnote on the budget. But it's very important because, yes, it's blocking the repeal, but what they've done is frozen the $3.5 million exemption. So we're not having it drop down to the million. They're going to maintain the 2009, which is $3.5 million and a 45% tax on the amount over the $3.5 million. Of course, we want to use your exemptions. Now, when I use that term, and panel, you'll see that I translate the technical language so that we can all understand it. But when we talk about using the exemptions, that's your $3.5 million now. Congratulations, you all made it to 2009. We made it to the highest year of an exemption. When you're single, the idea is that your entire estate gets the one exemption of $3.5 million. So what's the logical question for a married couple? Well, doesn't that mean we automatically get $7 million? And the answer is no. You do not. If you have a simple trust that says everything goes to my spouse when I die, okay, that means we use the unlimited marital deduction. We said you could give an unlimited amount to your spouse. It could be $40 million, and there won't be a tax. However, when the spouse dies and now they're worth $40 million, how many exemptions do they get? They get one, so they get $3.5 million, and that's it. What would have been smarter? Well, what many of you have, which is an AB trust or an ABC trust. So if you're married and the estate worth, well, let's go through in your outline. Letter A is if you're single. If you're single and your net worth is more than $3.5 million, then obviously the amount over that is taxed at 45% and you need planning. Letter B in your outline, if you are married and your net worth is between $3.5 million and $7 million, then you need an AB trust, which many of you have. You need the A and B provisions. You know, it's not very exciting when you hear it called an AB trust, but the idea is when one spouse dies, the assets are divided into two, an A and a B, a survivor's trust and a decedent's trust. It's required to have a formula and to have the allocation and division into the sub-trusts if you're claiming both exemptions. It's a compliance issue. If you wanted both exemptions, you had to follow the rules. If you're over the $7 million, then that's where it would be an ABC trust, by the way. So that's letter C. If you're married and your net worth is over $7 million, you need an ABC trust. I'm sorry, there's no D, E, or F for the rest of you. But the good news is there's always more planning available. Charities, grandkids, families, life insurance. There are all sorts of things to do for larger estates that are over the 10 million plus. Just gifting. A lot of things have changed in this area of law since many of you started gifting your annual amounts. Now, most people know about the giving of the annual amount. It used to be the $10,000. It's now $13,000, and that's what you have there in your outline and you have on the screen. The annual gift exclusion is $13,000 per recipient. Let's just be clear on that. That's per recipient. So if one parent has 5 kids and they want to give $13,000 to each, of course they can. And if the other parent wants to do the same thing, they can do the same thing. So it's per recipient. It's not the parent can only give away $13,000. It's you can give 13 to a different person without any problem. One of the things I'm seeing with this economic meltdown is the idea of I'm not giving anything away because I've got to hold on to it all. It's dropping so rapidly. And that's a natural understanding, a natural reaction to being insecure financially. I don't think I have enough to share with the kids and grandkids because look what's happening to my nest egg. And I understand that. But we want to really think through this idea. You weren't required to give them a check every year. And we've helped a lot of you with that, with the idea of why don't you set up an account, look what you're going to transfer to those children or grandchildren each year. But you didn't need to go sell a stock, pay a tax, take the cash, and hand it out at Christmas. That would not have been our recommended method. So some of you who haven't been in touch over the years and you haven't been calling saying, what should I do and is this the best way to do it? Your outline there says gifting assets versus gifting cash. This is really important. But when I look at this, I look and I say, okay, when you're thinking about assets that are so frustrating because they're undervalued and you've talked to good advisors and they said, hold on to them, don't give up hope. They are really good. See, the key word was not that they're dropped in value and they're worthless. It doesn't say assets that are worthless. It says undervalued. Really think through and get good advice. What are the assets that have the potential to go back up? Because those would be our very first choice to say, terrific, there is good news, take those quickly, and we want to transfer them into the children's names. We want to get them out of your name and into the children's name. Why? Because we only get $13,000 a year. So if something was worth $50,000 last year, and I can give the same number of shares away this year as $13,000, what a great idea, because I've been able to get more out of my estate. It's in the children's names, and now when it does grow, then you're in a good position. I am not the one to ask what is worthless and what is undervalued. I will put that disclaimer out there right now. But the key is if you can get good advice on what's undervalued. What I'm recommending here is that it go into a children's trust, or as you have on the top of page 4, a grandchildren's trust. Either one, that's the idea. The best time to gift assets that are undervalued, this is it. When assets are undervalued, it's the very best time to give them to a children's trust or a grandchildren's trust. Primary source of conflict in family is what? Is loaning and helping. Because you know what? Think of the clients. I have 5 kids. They help out one child with $18,000 here or whatever it's going to be, $100,000 here. Oh, let's be fair and times that gift by 5. Let's make sure they all got the same amount this year. Well, I don't have enough money to help out all 5. Well, the other 4 know that. So it is a primary source of conflict. I know you want to help them out, and I'm not saying don't. I'm saying how you help them out is everything. The question you have to ask yourself, will you really get the money back? Most of you are so good. You go, let's call it a loan. But we know you're not expecting it and it's probably not the last loan. It's the installment plan where this is the first loan until they're through that amount of money. So when you consider that, we look and say, okay, number 4, is the loan in writing? It's got to be. Please, for your family's sake, we document it. There can be simple loan forms, all sorts of things, but it's got to be in writing. It should have a payment schedule. Don't laugh. It should have a payment schedule. You know why? You're not helping that adult child to think there is no payment schedule. Sit down and say, when do you think you can pay some of this back? At least go through the exercise. Because you know what? In the back of their mind, they'll think twice before they come for the next loan. They'll say, I know I wasn't able to pay any payments in the last 6 months, but here's what's going on. All of these things work very well, and they do help the family. 3 and 4 are important, so let's take a minute. I want to talk about this on number 3. I alluded to it briefly during the break with a couple of clients. I have tried to let you know over time that you don't have to update your trust every year. You don't have to, it doesn't require that kind of maintenance in most cases, and that's true. I have to be candid. When I jokingly said this is the year of change, I really have to advise clients, this is the year you have to have your trust reviewed. There are too many issues with the exemption amount, the trustees, the ages, the money, the gifting. All of this is coming to bear with family loans. It affects almost every client. So the recommendation is, yes, you should schedule an appointment and have your documents reviewed. No question about it, to see what needs to be updated. So ideally, we can prevent whatever expensive problems would occur. Because our firm in the last 19 years, it's grown. A lot of you have been excited to see the growth of the firm. It's not just me with a paralegal or me with just one attorney. I mean, it's really grown into a beautiful firm with qualified attorneys. I introduced you to a couple of them. But it grew because of client referrals. It's the other thing that we wanted to do to kind of say thank you is on the idea of scheduling the appointments. We call them trust review appointments. It means that you need to bring in your trust. We need to discuss your situation and see what's outdated or what needs to be updated. Most of you know when you've done that periodically, that's at the regular hourly rate. That's the $3.50 an hour for that meeting. We decided to say thank you to those of you that are here. This is not for everyone. We wanted to say thank you, so what I did was I set aside a select number of appointments. So if there are some of you already have your documents updated, but if there are some of you that know it's been too long, you know that there are changes, or you're ready to have me review your documents, she has my calendar, and we set aside specific times just for trust review appointments for existing clients, and we're going to do them at the 1 hour at no charge. Thank you. By that response, I know how much you appreciate it. Thank you. I want to thank you for being such an attentive audience today. I hope that this has been not just informative, but really helpful for you and your family. So thank you very much, and we will be up front for questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to
break it in the middle and have two different blocks.
Maybe east and west or something. But
Yeah.
Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? Notice we're starting right on time. For those of you that are still getting coffee or breakfast, go right ahead and then find your seat. I wanted to just welcome all of you to our 2009